If you could hear inside the head of one of your past characters, who would you be most interested to hear their voiceover narration?
You win most creative question of the day.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Mila, it is so good to see you again. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Like, seriously, it's unbelievable how amazing of an actress you are. And I feel like every single time I interview you for a project, it's just like you're better and better. But seriously, thank you for keep taking projects that it's fun to come up with questions for. But I'm going to jump into this. I'm not someone who normally does this, but this movie hit me in such a way that when it was over, I honestly just needed to get out of my apartment. I leashed up the dog and we went for a walk. I just went to the park and threw the ball. I kind of just needed to clear my head. I'm curious, when you do a project with heavy themes, whether it's this or 4 Good Days or Black Swan, what do you need to do for yourself? Like, what do you need from your family when you walk through the door at the end of the day?
Oh gosh, you can't really ask my children for much other than for them to be who they are. So it is what it is. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. And we travel together all the time. So when we're shooting wherever we are, the whole family goes with there. So I don't ask anything of my kids other than to be their awesome selves, and I would never want them to be anything other than that. I happen to have an incredible partner that is fully aware of what my job entails, what my hours look like, and what I might come home as. And so as far as like unwinding goes, I'm not promoting alcoholism to anybody, but he was incredible at making sure that he had a glass of wine waiting for me the second I got home, and he made dinner, and if I got home super late, he'd have a plate in the microwave that I can just press. Like, I'm very fortunate. I have an incredible, understanding, wonderful husband.
Love that. So much of this movie is about a woman being haunted by her past. I'm really curious if roles have the power to do that. Are there any that you haven't been able to shake over your career or have had a hard time sort of shaking for better or for worse?
No, I think I've been really fortunate in that regard. I think over 30 years of doing it, I've managed to figure out a way to just separate who I am and what I do in a really healthy way.
But I'm so fascinated with, I guess, just this idea of secrets, because obviously everyone has them. And we learn about Ani's in the film because it's a part of the plot. But I'm sort of curious, do you ever give other characters secrets for yourself to add layers to them? Maybe things about the characters that we as an audience never get to find out.
Oh, for sure. You create a backstory. Oh my gosh, my old school scripts, nowadays everything is digital, although I still print my scripts out. But back in the day, you would only ever get a hard copy sent to you, and you'd have these scripts. And the back of my scripts would have a whole fictitious background of a character. Like, whether or not I used it, so to speak. I was talking to Seth MacFarlane about this a while back. We were talking about Ted, and he was like, he was always so curious to see what my script looked like and my notes looked like. And he was like, because the character was so one-dimensional on paper, and you made it so much of this, that, and the other. What did you do? And I was like, oh, I have a whole other story. Like, I myself write a whole, story and thoughts and ideas. And it's not like I study it. You just write it, you think about it, and it's almost like muscle memory. Mm-hmm. If you can create a character that makes sense to you. And sometimes I ask the writer questions. I was like, well, tell me about, what do you think the character did when they were, in 10th grade? Whatever it is. And I allow the writer to give me the answers. That works too. But as long as I have an understanding of why they are the way that they are, then anything is possible.
I love that. I would love for you just to sit down and record, an actor commentary on all the films you've been in, because I would love to, hear everything that you wrote in the script. I think that's incredible.
I would too. Let me tell you, I wish I would have done it in real time. I have no clue. If you asked me what I thought about when I was shooting this movie, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. It's very much like I mispronounce it, compartmentalizing.
Compartmentalizing.
Yes, yeah. It's that. It's just it's a drawer you open, you finish it, you close it.
That's so fascinating. Oh my God, I could talk to you all day because I think it's so interesting. I'm going to cut you loose on this because I truly do love your voiceover narration in this movie. I really loved getting into this character's head, and it made me realize that I kind of want that from more of your characters, because I love all the roles that you've had. If you could hear inside the head of one of your past characters, who would you be most interested to hear their voiceover narration?
You win most creative question of the day. Of all the characters that I've played, which one would I want to know the internal? I'm going to go with Black Swan because half the time I didn't even know what was happening. So I would love to understand it years later what her internal dialogue was. I made this joke before, but in that movie, on the cutting room floor is a whole other character. There's a whole other version of that character. So I would love to understand the inner dialogue of that one for sure.
I love that. I actually was lucky enough to interview you for that at the Pantages Theater in LA, and that was great. And Darren is coming to Chicago in a few weeks for The Whale, so I'm going to show him this clip and tell him that we need more of that.
Yeah, Darren. Well, yeah. Okay, great.
Or not if you don't want me to. I don't know.
Oh, please go for it. I'm seeing Darren on Friday. Here, I'll plug Darren. Darren has a children's book coming out. And
Monster Club.
Yes, and he wants me to do his Q&A for it. So I read Monster Club. And now I'm going to do his Q&A on Friday. It's very good.
I love that.
Darren Aronofsky does a children's novel.
Mila, I've been talking to you since I was 18, and you've been kind to me since I was 18. So thank you for continuing to do amazing performances and projects and being so kind to me. I appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for always being so supportive.
All right. Good to see you again.
You too. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.